this morning. We are going to process these apples that I picked up yesterday when I went to the farm store up in North Georgia. I have my apple peeler core slicer hooked up here on the table. I've got some large bowls that we're going to use to collect the peelings and cores. And I have my fermentation crocks in the kitchen on the counter that we are going to put the apple peelings in, and we're going to ferment those over the next 6 weeks and make vinegar. So yeah, that's what's happening here today. I'm going to get started peeling these apples. I have one of our daughters is coming over to spend the day with me today. And so we're going to go out and do some fun stuff. But I do also have these chores that I need to get done. And this is one that's pressing because the apples that I bought, they're called, they're seconds. So they're not big and beautiful, and they don't and have no blemishes and all of that. They have blemishes on them. They have bruises on them. They're of various sizes. They're various varieties of apples, and that's okay. It is perfectly fine. I am going to cut out the bad spots that need to be cut out, and I'm going to use these apples anyway. So they're just called seconds. So let's see. I'll get the apples out, get those washed. I am going to wash them. And then I will get busy peeling them. And then hopefully by the end of this, we'll have apple juice, apple butter, apple cider vinegar, and plain apples. I am doing plain apples with a simple syrup, an extra light simple syrup, which is also in this ball preserving guide. One of our daughters is going to be making baby food for our newest grandbaby, and so I want to make sure that I put the least amount of anything in those apples. I just want to get those canned up as plain as possible so that when I give those to her, she can add what she wants to add and make the baby food with whatever recipe it is that she's using. So there is a certain thing that you have to do to apples to can them, and that's all I want to do. I don't want to add anything extra or flavor them or any of that. I just want to make this extra light, simple syrup and can those apples for her to make her baby food. And also I'll use some of the apples, because there's going to be quite a bit. I'll use some of the apples to make a apple pie for Thanksgiving. Okay guys, so this is called Mrs. Anderson's Triple Action Apple Machine. It slices, peels, and cores the apples all in one step. So this is the box that it came in, and I picked it up where I bought the apples. And so what we're going to do is we are going to push this lever down and pull this back. These spikes hold on our apples. So we'll put an apple on the spike, and then we'll push this down again and push the apple to the place where it needs to be. This is actually the blade that peels the apple. And then we will just twist, 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 twist until the apple is fully peeled. So this part here, I think I said that wrong. This part here cores the apple. This section here, this little round piece, peels the apple. And this slices the apple. So I'll show you exactly how it works in a video, but that's just kind of an overview. So this, it has a suction cup on it. Well, as soon as you start cranking the handle with an apple on it, the suction cup comes up, so that it's pretty much useless. But it does come with a clamp, and I'll bring you around on this side and show you. It does come with a clamp, so you can clamp it on the edge of your table, or you can clamp it onto a countertop if you want. So let me show you where, let me show you the other side so you can see exactly what I'm talking about with the clamp. So this is the clamp. That's the clamp. And the clamp really does a good job. So the clamp holds it on there good and tight. It's not going to move when you're doing the apples. So that does a really good job. While that apple butter is processing, I'm just taking a minute to clean up my workspace. This is a very, very, very sticky job, and I want to try to be as clean and sticky free as I can be. So I'm going to clean this up. This is my first set of mess right there. So I'm going to clean all that up, wipe this all down, and then get ready for the next project, which is going to be sliced apples for apple pies for the holidays. There we go. They're sealed. The air is out. We have our good seal here. You want to look at it and make sure that the seal is sealed all the way across so you don't get freezer burn. But what I like to do with these bags is before you stick it into the vacuum to vacuum seal it, the edge in here, I like to wipe that out with a paper towel just to make sure that there's no food or juice or any kind of wetness or anything on this, so you get a really good seal. No different than what you do with your jars, wiping the jars before you put the lid on. You want to do the same thing when you're using the food saver bags. That way you're for sure that your stuff is protected, it's sealed good, and you don't have to worry about losing any of your food items to frost or to freezer burn. Okay guys, so this is what we have left. This is the scraps from peeling all of the apples. This is all the scraps. It's the peelings, the cores, all of that. This is the scraps. So what we're going to do is I have these fermentation crocks. We are going to make vinegar. So what we're going to do, we're going to make apple cider vinegar. What we're going to do is load all of these scraps into our crock. We're going to load them all into the crock. Well, as many of them as we can get into the crock, we're going to load it up. And then we're just going to keep loading until we get the crock about, not all the way full, but probably about 3/4 full. So it's about up to here is where it is. So let me show you what it looks like on the inside. Just have the crock with that. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to go and get some water. We're going to pour water in this. And once we pour water in it, we're going to make sure that all of the contents of this crock is covered in water. So what we're going to do is pour as much water as we can in here to get it over the top of these apple scraps. We want the water to be to cover the apples so everything stays pushed down and covered during the fermentation process. Okay, everything's in our crock. So we have the apple peels, the apple cores, everything is in the crock. And it's pushed down underneath the water and the weights are on top. The lid is on the crock, the water is in the reservoir, and we are going to put this up for 6 weeks. I will set this in a place where I can monitor it every other day or so I can just open the lid and take a peek and make sure that nothing somehow came up and is floating on top of the water, because that's when you get mold. And so I will monitor this every other day and make sure that everything is still underneath covered in water, and it'll sit for 6 weeks, and then we'll do another video and show you how to strain off the vinegar that we're making and how that works coming out of the crock. Our apples for the apple butter is all ready to go in the pot. They have been cored, sliced, and peeled with our peeler that I showed you earlier. So I'm going to get these apples in the pan and cook them really slow and low until they turn soft. So it'll probably take about 20-30 minutes for them to cook in here, and then I'll move on to the next step. We're going to add 8 cups of sugar. So we're doing a double batch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's time to add our spices. We're going to add 4 teaspoons of cinnamon to this pot. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. It says to add cloves, but I don't have any cloves, so I'm not getting cloves. But that'll be okay. Let's get this mixed in.
have an immersion blender, but I do plan on buying one because I need one really bad. This is the consistency I got with my mixer, just using, you know, a regular hand mixer. And this is the consistency I got with my blender. So, yeah, definitely using the blender. Okay, so we have this all pureed up, and I have my jars heating in our canner, and I have my rings and flats, rings and lids, heating up in here. And luckily, Mark just walked in from the UGA Tennessee game, and I told him that I was making apple butter, but I was out of cloves, and he offered to run up to the grocery store and grab me some cloves. So while this cooks, this has to cook on medium, just a light simmer, and you stir it, you know, occasionally so it doesn't stick. So while this simmers, I'll wait for him to get back from the store to pick up our cloves. So then we'll add the cloves to this pot.
It doesn't show it on the video, but I did use a wet paper towel and go around each one of the jars to remove any of the sticky apple butter from the top of the jars, from the rim of the jars, and then put on the lid and the ring.
I feel like the whole house is sticky now.
Yeah.
It'll take me a minute to get all of that cleaned up.
Apples are going to be used for pies for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I have 2 batches here to cook in this pan. And so, according to the Ball Guidebook to Preserving, we are to cook these apples once they come up to a boil for 2 minutes and then pour them off into an ice bath. And then we'll drain them and pack them in bags that are a good size for 1 apple pie each. And I think I have enough for 4 pies. So that's what we're shooting for, is to put up 4 bags of these sliced apples for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Okay, so the apples are prepared. They're all cooled off and drained. We're going to use our sealer, our Food Saver sealer, to put up these apples. I think that's a good amount for an apple pie. And so I'm going to put the apples in these Food Saver bags, vacuum seal them, label them, and get them ready for the freezer. And there we go. We got 4 bags for apple pies for the holidays. So I'm excited about that. I did go back and write on them that they are plain.
So on top of the 4 bags of apples for pies, we got 16 jars of apple butter. We got this large gallon-sized bag of apples for baby food, and 2 crocks full of apple scraps for apple cider vinegar. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. If you like this video and found it helpful, please consider subscribing to our channel and click the notification bell so you can be notified when a new video has been uploaded. And we hope that you enjoyed our 2-part video on all things apples. Happy Thanksgiving!